Hello and welcome to TA for Traders. It's Friday the 19th of January. In this video we're going to look at global assets, sentiment and money flows, looking at those charts. What we'll see is that the dollar remains weak. Added concerns have come in the last few days regarding government financing. They are at a standstill again, negotiations not going well. That's affected the dollar. In other currencies, the pound's had a bit of a blip up this week. Bitcoin's been very volatile. In commodities, the oil price has come under slight pressure. Gold has held up. Platinum's had a very good run and is at the upper boundary of a trading range. Equity indices, TTYF, the trend is your friend, especially in the US markets. They stay in their uptrends. European markets have had a good week as well. That's it. Let's look at those charts. So starting with the dollar index, and you can see that despite a move up on Wednesday, we've moved back down. It's suffering from negative momentum. RSI down at 30 in a downtrend, and these moving averages are bearing down, and at the moment it looks like we might be in the early stages of a bottoming phase, but too early to tell. It still looks quite bad. On the euro against the dollar, you can see that's moved up again over the week. Very positive. It bounced off this 20-day moving average and has positive momentum. Aussie dollar against the US, I've done a video on that today. Please do look at that. Had an amazing run. The Aussie dollar is now towards long-term resistance, and on the longer term charts, top of a trading range, and slightly overextended away from the moving averages and overbought. But look at that video for a longer view on the Aussie dollar. Here we're looking at the British pound against the euro. You can see it's had a blip up this week. That's taken it quite significantly above the 200-day moving average. If it can hold above there, it's pulled back to it today. That would be positive. We are getting a crossover on the 20 and the 50-day moving average in a golden cross. That should occur on Monday, which would be a positive sign. They would give support. So with all the moving averages together, it could look quite interesting on the British pound, maybe at the end of next week. Let's wait and see. Momentum has picked up as well. RSI now up at 53.25, and those MACD have moved back above zero as well. The short term is marginally above the longer term, very close to zero, but they are moving up. So it could look quite good for the pound down the road. Moving on to interest rates, and very much like last week when I was talking on this video, or a couple of weeks ago, it's looking good for interest rates. They've had a blip up. This is the 10-year yield on the US, 2.635 now, broken upwards after a bounce from the 20-day moving average and after a golden cross on the 2050. RSI indicative of solid upside momentum, excuse me, 73.88, and the MACD are positive as well. Same in Europe. This is the German 10-year yield, 0.52. Golden crosses on the 20 crossing the 200, and now on the 50 crossing the 200. Positive momentum from the RSI and the MACD. British interest rates. This is the 10-year yield on the 10-year government bond. Again, we've broken the downtrend, breaking on the upside. 20 has crossed the 50 in upward direction, so it does look like we are on for higher rates in the UK. Momentum is positive. RSI 62.98, and those MACD, the longer term just gone above zero, and the shorter term has been above zero since the 5th of Jan. Moving on to the commodity markets, oil's consolidated this week on the inventories in the States, an expectation that shale production will increase dramatically through 2018. That's kind of just hit the oil price slightly, but it was slightly overextended. This is a healthy consolidation, and at the moment you should not be concerned. We're still in the uptrend. The 20-day at 62 will give support. RSI, it's obviously pulled back, but there's no concerns yet. Still high, 66.16. Likewise on the MACD. Just wait and see on the oil price for now. Gold held up this week, just again slightly overextended from the moving averages, and this longer term resistance to contend with, but the RSI holding up, showing positive momentum, 66.69. And on platinum XPT, I've done a longer video on that today. Please do look at that. Looks like it's going to test the range trade and test these resistance levels. All positive from the moving averages. The 200-day now has turned upwards as well, and we've had golden crosses from the 20, but we are overextended from there. On the 4-hour on the platinum, there was a slight non-confirmation, so just watch the longer video I've done today on platinum. I've put Bitcoin as a commodity. I don't really class it as a currency because you can't really use it to buy anything, and obviously it's had a very volatile week. I have talked previously about this non-confirmation coming through on this downtrend in the RSI. That continues, so momentum is now negative. 10,000 level, big number, did hold to the downside, which was good, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's tested again. MACD also indicative of this negative momentum, and significantly the longer term has now come below zero as well. On equity indices, TTYF, trend is your friend. In the States, this is the Dow, continuing to move up. RSI just consolidating, don't worry about that, still got very positive momentum. That's the Dow. On the Nasdaq, I've done a longer video today. Again, it's solidly in its uptrend, maybe towards the upper boundary, maybe slightly overextended from the moving averages, but momentum does remain strong. In the Footsie, we've had a slight consolidation this week. That's brought it, brought it back to the 20-day moving average, which is positive. That should give support. Didn't get a non-confirmation on the RSI. That's might be starting to create a downtrend. Keep your eye on that, and keep your eye on this 20-day support. On the DAX, we've moved up, bounced from the moving average. I think it looks like we're going to break into new high ground here shortly. We've got slight resistance where we are at the moment from the 9th of Jan, and then there's resistance from the 7th of November. But given the move on the moving averages and the RSI moves spiking up as well, good solid momentum, and that we should see some follow through buying. And finally, on the Euro stocks, again we've moved up. Looks like we are going to test the higher resistances that we saw back in November. Solid momentum from the RSI and from the MACD. Thanks for watching this video. I know I rush through things when I'm doing this sentiment and money flow, but just to give an idea of what the charts are looking at like on all the global assets. Obviously, on the daily videos, I look at these global assets in a closer, more detailed fashion, and you can always look back at those videos if you're interested in a particular asset. Please remember, the videos I do on YouTube are my own opinions and they're not an investment recommendation.